That's the way you do it. Just hit that live button, Cindy. Da 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 da. What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Oh my goodness. I have been planted to my chair, getting up periodically only because of the guilt and the shame that has been surfacing up into me all day in the fact that I just cannot drag myself or bring myself or even want to do anything today, right? I was just sitting here and I was watching an interview. It's actually not an interview, it's one of the top tens. It's an Ed Milet. But in thought leadership today, you would think that it would motivate me to get some of those big projects done around the house, knowing that tomorrow I'm back to work and that job that puts the roof over my head in the moment, right? But like I said, didn't even want to, couldn't drag my butt off the chair if I wanted to. And some days are like that. There is no reason for that. It's not like I caught a cold or I'm not feeling well. It's not like I don't have anything to do because we always have something that we can do, right? Okay, well, we've got this word this week, and I don't want to be procrastinating in this word, but we got this really word that again, it threw me for a little bit of a loop. It made me take a look at some of those goals that I had set for myself for the year. It's maybe in that little bit of that and untangling the wires for myself, right? The way I look at this word, and the word we got this week was dreams. And today, a lot of messaging coming through, a lot of the lessons. I specifically looked for some of it came across my path, but I was trying to not figure out, but be inspired to this word dreams, because you know we talked about it earlier in the week that this word dreams for me was not really something I took into consideration for myself. And that's a truth. It might be an unfortunate truth, but then again it might not, because I sure did have a lot of fun. Did I ever get a lot of lessons? Did I ever build on a lot of relationships in that living vicariously through somebody else's dream? And I have to look at it that way, being somebody who doesn't cry over spilt milk, those things that we don't have any control over in the moment, right? The moment we make the choices, we could have made a different choices for a lot of these things that we've stepped into our lives or has been introduced to our lives. Lots of times we're given that rope to make those choices. Sometimes we make good choices. Sometimes we don't make such good choices. Sometimes those choices that we make are full of lessons. But maybe they're not full of lessons. Maybe they just have that one amazing lesson of how you feel after you've absorbed the lesson, after you've put that lesson into practice. So, what's this got to do with dreams? Well, I would have to say it's missed opportunities, isn't it? Sometimes it's that not taking yourself into consideration, right? Not putting yourself into the equation, allowing yourself to dream big. And, that was a misstep, possibly, like I said, because I had a lot of lessons, a lot of experiences, a lot of joy, and a lot of that feeling of accomplishment for myself in lifting others and living vicariously through other people's dreams, right? And being highly sensitive and being empathics quite often, more often than not, our self worth comes from what other people think of us, right? You throw me a compliment, I am going to work 10 times harder not to receive a bigger compliment, but out of that appreciation, out of that, how that compliment made me feel, right? And, there's always that possibility, right? I might get another compliment, or I might be able to choose, or I might be able to achieve that feeling again. But sometimes you only need that one acknowledgement of what you did as being a good job, right? Right? We need that recognition quite often. And sometimes, and quite often, more often than not, we're not getting that recognition. And that's why I always say that we have to be our best friends. I couldn't get my butt off the chair today, right? But I didn't beat myself up because I could tell that I needed to. And even though I didn't understand where that consumption of energy went to, right? I have to recognize that there are going to be days like that. And so I can't beat myself up in that process, right? I just can't. But at the same time, I have to think, today we took in a lot of lessons, right? I sat in this chair and I did what I could, right? Be proud of the effort. And I enjoyed taking in taking in the lessons. And I tried to stay on topic of dreams, looking to be inspired. Somebody who never thought that they had an opportunity to dream. And so, what did I do today? I have my list of goals that I had, right? It's magnetized to the side of my PC there. I see it every day, and I've already checked off a couple of these things and feeling really good about checking them off, right? Like getting my glasses, that was a big chunk of money. And for some people that might have been pocket change, but for me it was a lot of money. But I got it done and pat myself on the back. But that was over a week ago, right? And I had my little bit of fun, right? Relaxing the change purse a little bit for myself, right? Saying yes to a few things just to say, good job, Cindy. Here's a little bit of reward. I know I work on the reward system, right? I don't work on the punishment system though. That is a given. But remember what I said, when somebody gives me a compliment, how it makes me feel, that's enough for me to recognize what it takes to be considered to be doing a good job. And I will pick up that baton and I will make sure that I, at very least, work at that level because I know how that makes me feel. And even if nobody says good job again, I know I'm doing a good job. And I know at the very least I'm doing enough that the job is being recognized, right? So let's pull it back to the main branch of the tree because you can see I'm struggling with this word dream, but I did put some effort into it today, and I recognize probably that I haven't been dreaming big enough, that I could do better by myself. I could do bigger by myself, right? Even though that part of me, right, doesn't know how it's going to be done, that possibly doesn't have that magnificent sense of courage and confidence in the moment to add bigger and better things to my list. I think I have great goals, right? But when we get this word dreams, I don't think they were looking at the word dreams as how I'm looking at it as goals, right? Because that's the best that I can do. I don't think, and I did spend some time, like I said, and there were a few things that I did dream for myself, and they had to be realized, even if they didn't stay in my life and they weren't rooted and permanent and still here. I dreamed them, so they had to be manifested into my life. One of them was my Cinderella wedding, right? As a small child, as a girl, we dream of these things. We fantasize of these things. It was a dream of mine to walk down the aisle in a big puffy princess dress, to be able to have that magnificence in that one special day, if no other day in my entire life. I sound like a gypsy wedding, right? Because, the gypsy girls, they get that one day before they're all tied up into their marriage and their motherhood and their running their households, right? But, but, you know, for me, that dream of that wedding that I never thought would have even been a possibility for me. But I dreamed it anyway, right? Even knowing, right, because it's the programming, even knowing that it wasn't probably going to be a possibility, that it was probably not meant for me, but I dreamed it anyway. And what you dream of, what you think of, it has to be realized. And I thought about it a lot in those difficult times, in those sad times, in those times that I saw all my friends with boyfriends, and I would dream and wish for these things for myself, and yet not ever having it realized, right? Not even believing it ever could be realized, and even being told, right, that it was an impossibility. And from sources, good sources that I should have and did trust in that bit of guidance and information that they passed to me, which, right, maybe it was in their own fears, maybe it was in their lack of confidence of me and what I could accomplish for myself, right? But I did have dreams, and I had the most magnificent Cinderella wedding. That marriage did not last long, but I think it was never meant to last long, right? In the programming, it wasn't meant to be, but because I dreamed it, it had to manifest in some form, even if it was just going to be temporary, right? I didn't do it with a lot of things. That's a biggie. That's something that would make sense, that every little girl would dream for. But I don't think when it came to dreams that I ever dreamed of anything as magnificent before, during, or after that, right? And so now when we get this word dreams, I know it's come into play. I know this word has come this week because it's something that I need to look at, right? And yes, I'm looking at the goals because these are dreams. These are things that I want. But at the same thing, a lot of these are necessities, right? My glasses were a necessity. My wireless microphone, it was a necessity. My dental, it's a necessity. My passport, it's a necessity, right? The only thing that isn't necessity is a workshop or seminar or convention, right? And then, right, when things come into my life, right, I expect that every once in a while something magnificent will come into my life, so I leave that space for the dazzle and the maze and the gifts and the abundance being realized, because there's lots of it during the course of my year, right? And it's suited for me, it's built for me, it's created for me. And like I said, it might seem insignificant to somebody, but it means everything, or could mean everything to me, right? It could be pocket change to somebody, but it's something that I have to work towards and strive for. And yes, right, we don't know where we're going to be from one month to the next or one year for the next, but we still have to have those big goals, right? And today I was thinking about dreams for myself. Dreams for myself, because thinking about this word dreams today, I just kept thinking, and you can see it even in my notes here. I've got dreams, and then I've got arrows leading to harmony, right? Because if I were to dream for something, it would be for that harmony and that peace and that adventurous, curious existence that each one of us has the capability of dreaming up for ourselves, if that's what we want for ourselves. And it sounded pretty yummy to me, right? So I tied the dreams to harmony, right? Those thoughts that I have that are only mine, right? I come here fresh like a loaf of bread every single day, right? But I share the lessons that I come across in searching out lessons. I share the lessons in those conversations and in those interactions in my day to day. I share a lot of that contemplation and that unraveling and untangling of the wires that I do, or right, the little bit of shadow work, or whatever you want to call it, that actual work that we have to do in order to course correct some of these ideas we picked up along the way. And I've been doing a lot of that, right? But at the same time, there were some things that were gifted to me. And even though I have that understanding that I could share and talk about everything and anything, there are some things that are for me that I feel that they're mine. And there's also things that, right, I don't quite understand. And if I don't understand it, well, I'll probably still share it. I'll probably still share it anyway, because even if I don't understand, maybe somebody else out there would get it and share it with us, right? So my dreams are tied up with some of those ideas, some of those thoughts, right? That I have for my own well-being. And you can call those dreams, because maybe in my fragility or in my hypervigilance or in that safety or in that, maybe it's in that cautiousness and that possibility that I would be devastated that if my dreams wouldn't be realized, that I keep them close to my heart, right? I don't share those ones just in case somebody wants to chuck something at that glass and shatter it into a million pieces, right? Just for the hell of it, right? Just because they can, not taking into consideration what it would do to me, or even due to the process, right? Because you do that to me, I bring that to the table fresh like a loaf of bread, right? And what happens? That one thing that I could share, that in the moment that somebody's here right this moment and needs that information, but because, right, somebody shattered that glass on me, and because I don't want that to happen anymore, that I miss that opportunity to share a thought, share a belief, share a lesson, a conversation, or an interaction, or an experience that I have, right? And I failed to do that, and it's not like it's on me, because there are missed opportunities all the time. But that could have been something magnificent. That could have been the turning point for somebody. And so I'm careful, right? That I'm not uh it's not a matter of oversharing. I don't mind oversharing. I've got nothing to hide, and this is my life, and my life in this moment is not tied to a lot of other lives, right? That are so entangled that if I share something, somebody is going to be ticked off or going to be hurt by it, or I'm going to misrepresent, because that network, that group, that those small interactions that I do have in my life, those relationships, right, that I do have in my life, they're just a small group, and I understand that I'm only responsible for my actions and my thoughts and my ideas, and everybody else has their own. And right, I'm open to that discussion, but I'm not going to have that discussion, right, without those other parties having an opportunity to join in if they want to, right? Okay, so also when we had the dreams, I tied it to my ambition. Like I said, the first thing I grabbed were my goals for the year, and I says, "Oh, how can I do bigger? How can I dream bigger? What do I really want?" And right, and I delved into it a little bit because I'm having difficulties in dreaming for myself, in dreaming super large, right? Bringing that dazzle and amaze. I have a creative mind, but at the same time, that creative mind has been, what's the word? Pinched around the corners so that when you try to expand out it's a little tight. Is I'm trying to think of a good analogy. So it just makes it so that we have to do things in baby steps, right? We have to do things in baby steps. But I did tie it to my ambition. I did tie the dreams to my goals and say, because I know those rewards, how they make me feel, right? And even though a lot of these goals that I set for myself are necessities, they're basic needs. Those basic needs, if I get them accomplished, they're going to make me feel accomplished, right? And that's the end game, right? It's That's what we're chasing. We're chasing those positive emotions. We're chasing those things that make us feel good. And I know that if I accomplish this list, maybe I could dream bigger. Maybe I could look back on this because I've already accomplished two of the things. My fiscal year starts in September, so we've only been at it for a couple of months, and I got a couple of big things already off my list, right? But we still have lots of big things to accomplish this year, right? But maybe I could dream bigger. Maybe we all could dream bigger. Maybe it's in our own cautiousness, right? Maybe it's in those limiting beliefs that we have that, right? Maybe that we, right? Because lately I have been sitting in on some conversations and I'm going, oh my goodness, like, why do I think that I could even join in on these conversations, right? I'm sitting in on them, but actually join in on these conversations and actually be able to have a perspective, right? Be experienced by, right, by how I feel and how I think, right? And be the evidence that maybe possibly we can find other reasonings, and we can let go of some of that stuff that makes us compulse into searching out answers that I think sometimes that were never meant to be even searched out, but we search them out anyway because we're like pit bulls with a piece of raw meat in our mouth, right? And we just won't let it go until we chewed every little piece and it's digested, and right. And then if we're lucky, we can go yum yum, we'll have it again, right? Or you could say, "Oh my goodness, that was terrible." Right? We're never going to eat that again. We're never going to try that again. But what was that idea? Oh yeah, yesterday when we were talking about the Jeep, when I rented the Jeep for my trip, and I was saying, sometimes we do have to chew things up. We do have to digest things because in our mind, we see the sparkly, we see the dazzle. We say, oh, we want this and we want this and we want this, right? But we can want anything that will make the moment lighter. It'll make us smile and take the ease the tension off us, even if it's just another kitchen counter appliance. If it eases in our life day to day, right? Then we'll take that on. But for the most part, trailing off on this word dreams, right? You see how I go off on these side branches, it's because that I didn't find what I was looking for today, right? The answer as to why dreams would come across my path in this moment, right? And I did come to the assumption that I wasn't dreaming big enough, that I wasn't reaching far enough. I wasn't maybe possibly striving, right? Not struggling, but striving. I am comfortable in my movement, but I know that it's in our discomfort that we actually learn and we actually expand on things. And so I have to take a bigger look. I'll take a look at my list and I'll try and come up with some ideas for myself. Like I said, I thought my goals were pretty good. But maybe it was this idea of long-term dreams. But then again, that's tied up with some of those wires that I'm untangling for myself, some of those ideas that I'm keeping tight for myself, right? So I do have dreams. Oh, here it is. Maybe it's just the fact that I'm not sharing those dreams and I am being nudged. Right? I'm being nudged to share those dreams. I have to give that some thought. I never gave that some thought that that was a possibility, but it seems to me that might be a good possibility. I do have to delve into this subject, but at the same time, I have last week's word, right? Still lingering in the topics. And then I've got some of that codependency and that limerence in lessons that I've been working in too. So, it's a lot of things and I understand probably I'm supposed to be working on them at the same time, but in the end I'm thinking maybe because I didn't have a handle on this word dreams, because I wasn't dreaming bigger, that I couldn't figure out something personal for me, like the way I dreamed for my wedding, that possibly I don't have something like that I'm creating in my thoughts and in my mind, right? That those are the dreams, those are the things that entice you to keep moving forward. That's the stick with the bag. Oh my goodness, the stick with the bag, the stick with the bag, right? I need to strive. I need to move towards something. Just crossed my mind again of a few ideas that came across my path because I was looking for something to do. I was looking for a new project. Already, I'm in projects already, but I'm looking for something fresh, something exciting, something new that I can add on to it, right? And yeah, maybe this is all tied up in the dreams. And I have to fall back in some, when I'm thinking this way, that I have to fall back onto some of those past lessons that I have, right? That I have to be proud of those efforts that I bring to the table. That even though I don't get it, that I still adapt to conquer. I still find different ways to come at it. I still look for different perspectives. I still participate in those conversations, right? And I can't beat myself up in a lesson that I just am not getting, because we all grow, we all learn at different levels and at the same time, right? Some of us have missed lessons and some of us have wrong lessons. Like we've missed the lessons altogether. right? Either by our own choice because we said, oh, that's too scary. Yeah, I don't think so, right? Next. Or, or we've just totally missed it all together, right? Because lots of times it's in the patterning, the things coming back over and over again, and it takes a long time sometimes for us to pick up. And if we don't give up, right, chances are that lesson's going to come across again at some point. And if we keep missing it, eventually something something will resonate with us. Maybe it's just enough just to get that taste of that little piece of meat, like the pit bull with a piece of raw meat in their mouth. And maybe, right, we got something different to chew on, right? Something bigger to chew on, something bigger to dream. I just thought of another dream. Maybe this is pertinent too. Is when my mother passed away, there wasn't a lot of money or anything to divvy out to the kids, right, or anything. But she did leave each of us a few $1,000s, and I used that money to get my boating license, and then I bought a boat. It was just a little 16-footer fishing boat with a 90 horsepower motor. It was a Manitoba company that built it. I was madly in love with my boat. I actually pursued getting the boating license, and I passed the test with flying colors. I was so proud of myself. I didn't have that boat for very long, but I did dream. And in fact, I named that boat Genie, and I painted it like that television show, I Dream a Genie, and I painted a genie jar, and then I had the smoke coming out, and then I had her name, just like in the graphics from the television show, coming out in the smoke like that. But I did dream of that too, right? And I made that happen. But if I look at that was a goal, right? So maybe it's okay. Maybe it is okay that our dreams can be tied in with those goals that we have, right? Sometimes those dreams are only the things that help to make the journey a little bit more comfortable or a little bit less painful, right? Maybe just a little bit more bearable sometimes, right? Sometimes it's just that feeling of achievement and accomplishment, and right, that being able to inspire ourselves, because in the end I think that's all I'm trying to do, right, is to inspire myself, right? Those positive feelings are everything. They keep me moving forward. And those positive feelings, I wish those for everyone, because that's where the adventures are, that's where the curiosity is, what's where the beautiful landscapes are, right? Those calming and belonging, I'm going to say, those feelings and sense that you actually belong, that you're a part of all of this, right? So if I'm going to dream for anything, right, being that highly sensitive and that empathic and that person who finds her self-worth built up in what other people think of her, how about if I dream that for the moment, right? A little bit of calmness, a little bit of energy, so we can get some things done, that we can feel those feelings that we so want to feel for ourselves, right? And every once in a while, when we have those feelings that we're not getting ahead, right? Maybe that little bit of good cheer, that little bit of encouragement from yourself or somebody else, maybe that could be enough to tie us over just long enough that we could just maybe dream a little bit different if we don't dream a little bit bigger. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. We'll see each other tomorrow.